Hi everyone, my name is Tiwa and I'm a recent graduate from theology at Cambridge. I'm just making this video for the open day to answer a few questions that I wish I would have known the answer to when I was applying to study theology at Cambridge. First of all, I want to say congratulations because you're interested in the best subject, hands down, that you could possibly study at university. So you obviously all have excellent taste. Good job. So question number one is, how has your degree helped you since graduating? This is a question that I got loads even before I started university, talk less of now that I've graduated. I think a lot of people from sort of older generation, maybe people your parents' age, are quite worried about job prospects after graduating from theology because it isn't your sort of traditional subject and there's no clear career path. But if anything, I think since graduating, I've learned that that's even one of the great strengths of studying a subject like theology. You can really go on to do anything that you want because of how varied it is as a subject. So personally, I've gone on to work in the PR and communication space. I've just been working for a company out in Brussels, a communications agency there, and now I've sort of moved back to London. I'm going to be starting work at a new agency here in June, and I think that my degree has helped me in many ways in my career. One thing that really stands out is being able to communicate my arguments effectively. Obviously, in theology, you have to be very good at communicating your points in an essay effectively to the person reading that and getting the person sort of on board to your way of thinking. And I think working in the communication space, everything I do is about communicating ideas. So that's really put me in good stead. As well, I feel like I'm really able to take on information quickly and analyse it and take out the important bits, which is something, again, I do on a daily basis. But yeah, I think the main answer to that question is just that it sets you up really well to be able to work in whichever field that you choose. From my class of 2019 graduates, I know people that have gone on to become teachers, that have gone on to become lawyers, bankers, consultants, even someone that's doing a master's in the internet. There's just no end to the possibilities. So it's actually really exciting, and I think your job prospects are fantastic after graduating, so definitely don't worry about that. Another question is advice for someone applying for theology. So this advice was actually given to me when I was applying, and I think it's probably one of the reasons that I managed to be successful in my application. And what I was told to do was to think about the aspect of theology that interests me the most. So the thing that you can see yourself really going on to sort of specialise in your degree and getting really interested in. And try and become as expert as you possibly can in that field. So for me, it was Christianity in Africa, specifically in Nigeria, which is something I carried on studying throughout the 3 years I was at Cambridge. And I think that's really good advice because theology is so broad. So when preparing for an interview, it's really easy to sort of spread yourself too thin across all the different areas and get sort of too bogged down in trying to become knowledgeable in everything, which actually is impossible, and the people interviewing you aren't going to expect you to be an expert in every area of theology when you're just starting out in your journey. So I think it's better to sort of display your passion for a specific area and get really good at talking about that. And hopefully your interviewers will see that you have a clear dedication and drive for the subject. So my final question was, what was the best thing about studying theology at Cambridge? And although a part of me really, really wants to say the free tea and coffee that you get in the divinity faculty every day at 11 a.m, I think actually, although that was really great, the best thing was probably the space that you're given in the divinity faculty to really develop as a theologian and choose what sort of theologian you want to be. So, for example, in first year, I think there are only 1 or 2 papers that are compulsory, and even with those, you get a choice out of which sort of aspects to focus on. So from literally the get-go, you're choosing all of the things you want to study. There's an incredibly diverse range of topics to study. I mean, I study things from sort of Pentecostalism and Scientology in first year to Hinduism, Buddhism and Islam and even the Reformation across 3 years. And I still feel like I only really scratched the surface. But I think the best thing specifically about studying at Cambridge is that you can really choose what interests you, no matter how sort of weird and wonderful that might be. And you'll actually always find a faculty member that's really expert in that field and can really help you in your journey in theology. So I think for me that was an amazing thing. It really gave me the space to develop my personal interests, which are things that I still hold dear today, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity to maybe continue studying at some point. Something else which is fantastic about the DivFac in Cambridge is the amount of diversity in the curriculum. There's a lot of talk about decolonising our curriculum in Cambridge from specific student groups, so sort of making sure that you're studying things from all parts of the world and about people from all walks of life. And I think actually divinity is quite ahead of the curve in that debate, in that you do study religions all over the world from people all over the world, and you're really given the sort of space to get into those interests. And I think that's fantastic, and something that was really very important to me when I was applying as well. So I hope I've given you all a good flavour of what life is like studying divinity at Cambridge. It was definitely an amazing 3 years of my life. I'd literally go back in a heartbeat. So yeah, good luck to everyone on their application journey, and I hope you all end up loving theology as much as I do.